What's up guys, my name is Andy. In this video, I'm going to be replacing the valve covers on my 66 Mustang with some Ford Performance valve covers. I'm also going to go away from the standard bolts that we use to a stud system. So I'm hoping that it'll make it easier when doing like valve cover gaskets. You don't have to glue or stick the valve cover gasket inside the valve cover and then hope that it sticks on there. But with those studs, it should hold everything in place, and then I can just slide the cover on, bolt it up, and then we're good to go. I'm also going to replace this air filter with a better, bigger unit. And I did want to point out, valve covers, they're kind of like wheels and tires, right? Or maybe even a paint job. There are so many different styles of valve covers that I actually had a hard time picking out which one I wanted. There's different colors, there's different brands, there's different shapes. The last car I had some of the Ford Performance, the Ford Blue valve covers, and it had a raised lettering on it that said Ford Racing or something like that. The problem is the lettering had a sharp edge to it, so when you would wipe them down, it would snag on the towel and tear the towel. It was a pain in the butt, really. So I didn't want raised letters, even though I think those valve covers are some of the best looking valve covers for these motors, in my opinion. I didn't want to have to deal with that, so I wanted something that was smooth, or maybe something that was embossed, like letters that went down inside, although I was afraid that also the dirt would get trapped inside the letters as you're trying to wipe everything out. So something with just a smooth surface would be good, but then, do you want something with lettering on it, or logos, or some sort of design? And I went back and forth. I actually spent 3 weeks before I finally purchased the valve covers that I got, because I just couldn't decide what I wanted, what color, and in the end, who knows, I may switch them out for something different, just because they're kind of something that you can kind of change the look of the engine bay, just the valve covers themselves. So I'm hoping that I did good on these, but we'll see how they come out. So let's go over to the bench real quick and take a look at the parts we're going to put on the car. So what we've got here are some Ford Performance valve covers. Here's the part number for those that may need to use that. But this is so big I can't fit it in frame, so let's just go ahead and pull them out of here and see if I can make this look a little easier here. All right, so what we've got in here, so you got one of those breather caps. That's fantastic, I like that. Don't have to worry about buying one. And inside here, instructions on how to hook it up. Good to know. And then, so here is the valve cover itself. Alrighty. So this is a very similar design to what I had on my last car. I like this shape, I like these chamfered edges on here, and I like that this is smooth, so if I ever have to clean these off, I'm not going to be having problems with the dirt and the dust. And then also, this, on the other valve covers that I had, this was you had to have a special bolt in there, so you couldn't use the studs that I want to do. So I did like that this option gave me the ability to use the studs in all 6 spots there. And then this does have a smooth edge, so the valve cover gasket does not fit inside here like some valve covers do. So again, another reason why I'm going to go with that stud option is so that when the valve cover gasket is sitting on the heads, then I could just drop this on there and I don't have to worry about getting it tucked up inside the lip here and stuff like that. So very nice. All right, and then this is going to be for that. Okay, very cool. And then the other one, again, the same thing. And the nice thing about this setup is that, based on what you've got here for your breather and stuff like that for your carburetor, these are universal, so it doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about a right and left on these things. Let's take a look at the other parts that we got. So I'm a big fan of Fel Pro Gaskets. They've been good to me, so I'm using them again. Here's the part number for those that need that. And these units, they have these little tabs on here that help align with the type of valve cover gaskets or valve covers that allows you to kind of push this in place and it'll hold in there. We don't need those, so we're going to go ahead and cut those off before we put these on the car. And then here's the studs that I'm going to use. Here's the part number for those that need that. And again, I like ARP fasteners. They've been pretty good to me as well. So come with the nuts that we need, some washers. This will be pretty good. And the last piece is the valve or the air filter. And what I went with is a much larger air filter than what I had before. One of the problems that I have with my current air filter is it's a much smaller unit. Also, the element is not very tall, so I like this taller unit. However, there's not a lot of space between my carburetor and the hood. In fact, on the bottom of the hood, there's some scrapes from the wing nut that you use to fasten this down. And so what I wanted was something that allows this to sit lower, and that's why I have this type of design. So that it'll sit on the carb and then kind of drop the filter down a little bit to get everything lower, which is what I want. However, because of the electric choke I have on my carb, it kind of sits at an angle. And so even these bumps here and stuff, the way actually where it sits is actually on the lip here, the electric choke. So I need to get this up higher. Well, then I start to lose that advantage of having this deep, tray here for a taller filter if I have to raise everything up. But I was able to find, this is just a 1/2-inch ring, and what this will do is I can put this there on the carb. Here, we'll flip it over, and it'll essentially sit like that, and that'll give me just a 1/2-inch clearance, just enough to get this edge up above that electric choke and still keep everything nice and low in the car. And we're going to cross our fingers that this still fits. So let's go over to the car and start taking everything apart and get everything ready for the new parts. So what I like about these kind of parts is that it's easy to change this stuff out. We just need to go ahead and move the spark plug wires, get these guys out of the way. This stuff's going to be pretty much out of the way, so we'll just take these fasteners off the top here and we can just pull this valve cover right off. And like I was describing before, see how this has got a little bit of glue in here, and that's just enough to hold this in place so it doesn't fall out when you tip it over. Hopefully we won't have to deal with that anymore. What we're going to want to do is just get this surface cleaned up pretty good before we put the new gasket on and the studs in place. So each one of these studs needs to get threaded into the holes here, and what we want to do is we'll take this nut off of here, and then we can go ahead and just finger tighten this into the hole, and then we're going to use a pair of, for this particular stud, they're 1/4 28 thread, so I'm going to use a pair of nuts to put them together, and then I can tighten the top nut and it'll keep this stud spinning and not just spin the nut, and then we can lock these things in place. All right, so this one's in place. Now I can do the same thing on all the other 5. All right, now that we got the rest of these all tightened up, let's go over to the bench and get those valve cover gaskets ready. Let's get these out of here. And we'll just use this to cut on. All we want to do is just cut these little edges off of here. Like that. Do that to all of them, and then these will be ready. All right, now these are ready. Let's go put it on the car. All right, with these studs in place here, this sure does make it really easy to line this stuff up. There. Gasket's on. Now we can put the valve cover on. Oh man, that looks great. Oh, it's already looking better. All right, we'll finish it up with this ARP washer and nut. Now this is a 12-point nut. Just a heads up, you can buy 6-point or 12-point nuts, and you are going to need the socket to go with that. So just a heads up on that part. We'll finish these up down here. Go all the way around and just put them on hand tight, get everything kind of snugged up, and then we can go in and tighten them down after that. All right, this looks a lot better. Just a heads up, I had to take the washers off of these studs. They're not quite long enough. In fact, I don't know if you can tell, but the head of that stud is right at the top of the head of the nut here. And trying to tighten that down, I just couldn't even pushing, trying to compress the gasket, I just couldn't get enough threads to tighten it down. So I would have liked to have had longer studs. So the ones I use, this part number here, this is how long they are, 1.170 inches long. I would recommend, if you guys can do something like this, to do at least 1 1/4, maybe 1 3/8 at a minimum. Then you can go up from there if you need to, but I just don't like that I can't use those washers on there. It still works, but it's not ideal. So let's go ahead and put the rest of this back together. We got our fancy laser etched Ford Racing breather cap. Alrighty. And then we can go ahead and fish the spark plug wires back around, get them connected up. Alright, everything is complete over here. I think, oh, we want to forget this. This comes back through here. There. Oh yeah, we're looking good. Let's go to the other side. So on this side, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take all the spark plug wires out. We'll take that breather tube off of there that goes to the carb, get everything out of the way, and take the valve cover off and make it go from this to this. All right, much better. Everything's all plugged in, ready to go. I did forget to mention, so on the stock valve covers, there's that Pcv valve that's built into the cover, and it doesn't come out, so you have to get a different one. This is what we got for it. It just looks something like this, real simple. They're less than $2 at the auto parts store. If you guys need that part number, there's that for this. And the nice thing is this just plugs right in to the grommet that comes with these valve covers. There we go. And then we can just plug this guy on there. And now that's set. Okay, cool. So next thing we want to do is do the air filter, the air cleaner, to kind of match what we've got going on here. What we want to do is we'll just unscrew this top post, and I believe we can use the same post that I have here, this threaded post, but it does come with one and a new wing nut in case you need it. And this is a fairly new gasket that's on here, so I don't need to replace that, but you may want to look into replacing that on your car if you need to. And then don't forget, I've got that spacer that I need so that I can clear this top edge of the Edelbrock, on this Edelbrock. I don't know what it's like on Holley's, but on this Edelbrock 1406 carb, the electronic choke sticks up just a little too much. So we're gonna put this spacer on there like that. And then we'll put this bottom pan piece and just set it on there like so. And now it's clear. And before it would sit like that. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it would, actually I could just show you. So here, it's hitting that choke. So putting this on there. There, that's good. And then the air cleaner, and then the lid. And then we just thread this guy on there like so. Tighten it down. All right, there, much better. Oh yeah, guys, that is a much better. I don't like how the hood, the underside of my hood is black. It kind of darkens the engine bay. But I do like that this stuff kind of matches now. Having those valve covers and the air cleaner match, it looks a lot better. And then of course you got the new intake manifold that kind of cleans things up a little bit. Don't worry about the block. We might do something with that down the road. But anyways, all right, this thing's coming together. All right, guys, so that's how you do new valve covers, new valve cover gaskets, the studs if you want to go that route, new air cleaner. If you want to clean up your engine bay like that, I think this is a great way to do it. Again, I do like this laser etching on those valve covers because it provides just a flat surface for me when I'm cleaning things, wiping things down. I do like that. And then again, remember on that Pcv valve, if you guys have the stock valve covers, you're going to need to replace that Pcv valve with that extra piece. I should have mentioned that earlier in the video, but and also those stud lengths. I would recommend at least 1 1/4 inch studs, if not a little bit longer. Like I said, I wasn't able to use those washers that came with it. It still works, but not ideal. So I may have to switch that out down the road. We'll see how things go. But other than that, that's it, guys. That's how you do it. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out. And we'll see you in the next one.